there and welcome back to my channel. Or if you're new here, hi, my name is Nesli and I'm a pattern maker. We are doing something extra fun today, these butterfly wings. And I'm extra excited for today's project because this one is for Honey and Sugar. Some of you might remember that name. It's a little brand that I started a while back. It was on pause. Now I've decided to revive it back to life. So here we are, and Honey and Sugar is officially back. Honey and Sugar is my magical little shop just for kids. It's where I get to design clothing, costumes, and even newborn essentials, pieces that feel special and handmade, but also full of play and imagination. Because honestly, that is what childhood is about, right? Running around in wings, pretending to be butterflies, and dressing up in cozy little outfits that sparks imagination. So this little butterfly wing is the first step in reviving the Honey and Sugar brand, and there is much more to come. So I've got lots of costumes planned, lots of clothing, and like I said, even newborn essentials. Things that are both practical and still have that touch of magic. And when I think about it, I love the idea of these pieces can become a part of child's memories while they're laughing, while they're playing, and while they are imagining in their own little worlds. This idea excites me. And on top of it, you know what the best part is? You get to make it yourself with your own hands, stitch by stitch, and that will make this so much more meaningful. So, in this video, I'm going to take you through the whole process of sewing this little cute butterfly wings. And if you are newer to sewing, don't worry, this is a fun little project to begin with, and I'm going to take you step by step through the whole process, and by the end you'll have your own pair of wings ready to fly. And actually this pattern comes in 3 different sizes, and together they all cover between the ages 1 to 8. So whether you are making a tiny pair of wings for a toddler or just a little bigger for an older child, you are all set. Alright, if you got your fabrics, interfacing, and your wadding ready, let's begin sewing.
Let's start by cutting out all of our fabric pieces. After laying my fabric with the wrong side facing up, I fold it just enough so my pattern will fit and then smooth it out nicely. Then I place my pattern on top. There isn't only one correct way to place the pattern on fabric. You can lay it on a single layer or on the fold, but make sure you cut the correct number of pieces. Just follow the quantities written on the pattern. And make sure to transfer every little notch onto the fabric. These tiny marks will help us a lot later when placing the straps. Now let's cut our fusible interfacing. I recommend a heavyweight non-woven interfacing because it gives the wings nice stiffness and helps hold them in place. Use the type that's usually found in short collars and cuffs. For the wadding we are cutting the same again, but this time about 4 or 5 cm bigger all the way around. Don't worry, we'll trim it back later, because when sewing the fabric and the wadding together, there can be a slight shifting. Doing it this way just makes it easier to sew. Here we have 2 layers of the butterfly piece. Take one of them and lay your fusible interfacing with the glue side facing up. Place the butterfly piece on top with the wrong side of the fabric touching the glue side of the interfacing. Since my fabric is gauze and quite fiddly, I first need to pin it in a few places to secure it. I align the edges and then pin here and there to hold it steady. After that, I flip it over so the right side of the interfacing is facing up. This is the side I need to press from, because fusible interfacings are always ironed this way. Go ahead and press to fuse them together. This gives the fabric structure and stability. As I go, I remove the pins one by one and press those areas too. You see how much stiffer and more structured it looks now? The one without interfacing is really drapey in comparison. Now place the piece with interfacing right side up on a firm surface, like a cotton mat. Put your paper pattern piece back on top of the fabric's right side facing up. We'll use a tracing wheel here. A tracing wheel has small teeth that transfer lines from paper onto fabric, leaving tiny dotted marks. It's a simple but very useful tool for making quilting or stitching guides. Using a tracing wheel, roll over the dash lines on the pattern. These will become our quilting guides on the fabric. Press firmly as you roll so the little teeth leave clear dotted marks. It may not look very visible on camera, but close up I can definitely see where I traced. Depending on the angle, you might also catch it on camera. Then trace over those faint marks with a heat erasable pen so they'll be nice and visible while sewing later. And if you don't have a tracing wheel at the moment, it's totally fine, there's a workaround. Just place the paper pattern on the wrong side of your fabric, pin it in a couple spots, and poke along the dash lines with pins at regular intervals. Then, on the fabric side, go back over those little dots with a heat erasable pen. But I definitely recommend getting a tracing wheel for the future because it's a really handy tool. Next, wadding time. Wadding is the fluffy layer that adds volume and softness. It also helps the piece keep its shape. Now place your interface butterfly piece right side up on top of the wadding. Pin the layers together in a few spots to keep everything from shifting. And now, baste all the way around, sewing about 5 mm inside the edge. Just follow the outline closely. You can simply guide your pressing foot along the raw edge of the fabric and sew all the way around. This step secures your fabric and wadding together so they act like one piece. Go ahead and remove the pins, then trim away the extra wadding. Careful following the outline so it's nice and neat. Okay, let's move on to the straps. Again, I have two of the same and I am taking one away. If you look closely, you'll see notches at the center of both short ends of the strap piece and also at the center of the long edges. These will help you fold the strap perfectly in half. I turn it to the right side and fold it lengthwise, right sides together, lining up the long raw edges, starting by matching up the notches first. I pin it in a few spots all the way along the edge. And then sew along the long edge with a 1 cm seam allowance. Leave both short ends open, since we'll need those later to insert the elastic. Next, turn the strap right side out. You can use a loop turner, a stick, or even a chopstick, whatever works best for you. I'm using a safety pin to turn mine. I use my fingers to wiggle the seam line out, pushing it all the way to the edge so it shows nicely. Then I give it a good press with the iron to flatten and smooth everything out. Take your time with this part. The nicer you shape the seams, the better it will look in the end. Time to prepare the elastic. You'll need 2 cm wide elastic, and the length depends on the size you are making. Check the chart in the instructions for the exact measurement. I'm making the large size, so I need 45 cm. To feed the elastic through the strap, grab a safety pin or a bodkin and attach it to the one end of the elastic. Insert the elastic through the tunnel, starting from one of the short open ends. When both ends of the elastic peek out from the strap, keep them sticking out. Don't let them slip back inside. At this point, double check that the elastic isn't twisted inside. That part is really important. Otherwise, the strap won't sit flat when worn. Line up the elastic ends with the raw edges of the strap openings. Pin everything securely. Now stitch across the short ends, sewing through both the fabric and the elastic. This locks the elastic firmly in place. Spread the fabric out nicely along the elastic so it looks even. And repeat the same steps for your second strap. When you're done, you should have two matching straps, both with elastic inside and the fabric evenly gathered. Now let's attach them to the wings. There are two notches on the top right, two on the top left, and two at the very center of the bottom edge. These are the spots where we'll place the straps. Place one strap between the two notches at the top right. I push the extra fabric of the strap back, align the raw edges, and pin it in place. Then place the other strap between the two notches at the top left. Again, I align the raw edges with the edge of the wing and pin it securely. Make sure the straps aren't twisted as they come down. Take the free ends of both straps, align them neatly on top of each other, and bring them down to the bottom center of the wing. Pin them between the two bottom notches. Double check once more that the straps are not twisted before moving on. Then stitch securely across these three strap placements, sewing 5 mm inside the edge. So now gather the straps at the exact center of the wing so they don't spill past the edges. They should all stay tucked neatly inside. Now place the second wing piece on top, right sides together. Align all the edges and match the notches. Pin all the way around, except for this portion, which I'll be explaining why just in a bit. After pinning everywhere, sew with a 1 cm seam allowance, but leave an 8-10 cm gap so you can turn the wings right side out later. So don't sew it here because we cannot turn this over right side out. Here, take your time. Sewing curved edges and sharp turns can be tricky. A slower pace will give you much cleaner lines and make the finish look more professional. At every inward curve, make small clips into the seam allowance. Yes, exactly these points, stopping about 2-3 mm away from the stitching. Without these clips, the inward curves won't show properly once the piece is turned. You can also trim the seam allowance down to half its width, or snip out small triangles at the curved areas to reduce bulk. Except for this portion, don't trim it here. Don't cut too close to the seam. About 5 mm away is safe. And when you reach the opening, skip over it and continue trimming after the opening. We need to keep the full 1 cm seam allowance at the opening to close it neatly later. Now, turn the wings right side out through the opening. This step can feel a little tricky, so take your time and go slowly. It'll be fine. Instead of pulling hard on the fabric, push the whole piece through the opening to flip it. If you're working with a delicate fabric, be especially gentle. Once turned, use your fingers to carefully push out the seams so the edges look smooth and clean. Make sure the seam line that joins the 2 layers sits right on the very edge, so it isn't visible from the front or the back. As you smooth it out with your fingers, keep adjusting the fabric so the seam stays in place, and pin carefully all along the edge to hold everything exactly where it should be. After you have done this all the way around the edge, move to the opening. Fold both 1 cm seam allowances to the inside. First, fold in the seam allowance on one side of the opening and pin it in place. Thanks to the stitching on either side, it will naturally want to fold inwards. Then, flip the piece over and do the same with the seam allowance on the other side of the opening, folding it to the inside and pinning it securely. After that, bring the 2 layers together. Place the 2 layers neatly on top of each other, align the edges carefully, and pin them to keep them from shifting. As you go, remove the pins that are left underneath so they don't get in the way. Now, time for the top stitch. First, move the straps out of the way so they don't accidentally get caught in the stitching. Then sew 5 mm inside the edge all the way around. Guide your presser foot along the edge and go slowly, especially around the curves. And that's it! You closed up the opening and at the same time added a clean finishing stitch all the way around the edge. This step not only secures everything in place, but also makes the butterfly shape stand out beautifully. Now stitch along all the quilting lines you transferred earlier. And then continue by sewing straight down the vertical center line. Be sure that each line of stitching begins and ends inside the top stitch you just made. And once again, move the straps up to the top so they don't accidentally get caught while you're sewing. And finally, give the wings a gentle steam press from a distance. Don't touch the iron directly onto the fabric, since that could flatten the wadding. And there you go! Your butterfly wings are finished and ready to fly. I hope you had fun sewing along with me. I can already imagine little ones fluttering around, turning into butterflies, fairies, or whatever their imagination dreams up. That's the magic of handmade pieces. They are not just costumes. They are little sparks that bring joy and creativity to playtime. If you enjoyed this tutorial, don't forget to give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more sewing projects. And if you make your own wings, I'd love to see them. Share a picture and tag me so I can check them out. Thanks so much for watching and happy sewing!